Hello there, my YouTube friends. Owen Dare back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Scrivener, particularly part of my NaNoWriMo prep series. I'm going to be going through all the steps that I've taken so far to prep for NaNoWriMo. So one of the first things I did was I bought a license for Scrivener, and I like it. It's a great software product, but I wanted to be able to set it up so that I could have a kind of a template that I can use to basically just start a new project whenever I want, and everything that I need to do that project is there and ready to go. So the process is pretty simple. You start a new Scrivener project, you go in, you add all the folders and files and stuff that you need to have in there, and then you can just save that off as a template, and then every time you want to start a new project, you can use that template. So every time I start a novel, I can start out with the same setup every single time, and I don't have to spend a bunch of time fussing with Scrivener. I can just start it up and go to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to my computer. I'm going to run through the process. I'm going to give a quick demo of the template that I came up with. And then I'm going to just show you how I set up the template and how I saved it off and how to use it to start a new project. So let's jump over to my computer. Okay, so as you can see here, when you start up Scrivener, you start up with this getting started screen. It's got some different templates these are just basically like user guides and a manual that shows you how to use it. And then since I am doing a work of fiction, I decided to put that in here. And you can see right here that these are the ones that come with Scrivener, so novel, novel with parts, and short story. I've actually added in this guy here, which is, it says Owen Dare novel template. So I'm going to jump in and show you how this works. Basically, this template will always be here. I have this template backed up as part of my Scrivener backups. So it's always safe, and if I switch to a different computer, I can just pull this template down and don't have to set it all up again. If I lose my computer or something happens to my computer, the hard drive crashes, I don't have to worry about it because this template that I've created is saved there and ready to go. So to start a new project, you're just going to you see this little blue outline. You're going to click on it, and you're going to click choose, and then you're going to give it a name. So you're going to call this YouTube demo. Give it your name, and then you click create. And what this does is it's going to create a new Scrivener project, and it's going to have YouTube demo right here. And so this is exactly how I set it up. I've set up everything in here so that I can just do what I just did there, and I can just get started. Some of the folders I have here, there's a manuscript folder, there's a chapter, and then a scene. And these are just blank right now. There's a characters folder. There is a places folder, front matter. This is all the stuff at the front of the book, so the title page, some copyright information, the cover for the ebook. There's a notes folder, there's a research folder that has some sample output stuff in here. This all came with the Scrivener template. These template sheets here, you have a character sketch and then you have a setting sketch. These can be transferred actually up into the character folder. So there's several ways to do that. You can click on this, you can you can click on this, you can duplicate it, character sketch 1, you can drag it up here to characters, and then you can just change the name of it. So your character's name is Bob, and then you can add in all of Bob's information. Okay. And then there's actually another way that you can do this where you go add new from template, character sketch, and then it puts it there, and then you can put Bob, and then you can go over here and you can put, Bob 24, location, Seattle, whatever. And then you can go ahead and fill the rest of this out. Okay, so that's how you can create these new character sketches. Now, the thing that I've spent a ton of time on is when I'm writing this novel, this first novel that I'm writing, I'm using the Save the Cat Writes a Novel book by Jessica Brody. And so basically there's these 15 story beats, and I'll probably go into it in more detail in another video. But there's these 15 story beats, and so what I thought would be neat was to have those inside this project so that basically I can open this guy up when I decide to write a new novel. I can go in here, I can go to Act 1, opening image, and you can see that there's an explanation. It's a single scene. It's about 1% of your novel. The opening of your novel, the first scene of your story sets the tone, all this stuff. I got a lot of this from Jessica Brody's book, and also her online course that she teaches how to use the Save the Cat method to write a novel. So I just jotted down some notes. And then so now what I can do is I can, in this opening image, I can add new text. And then I can say, I can just do like that. And then using this explanation, I can say, okay, it's a single scene, 1%. It's the opening of the novel. It's the first scene of your story. It sets the tone and mood. I can read this, and I can go over here and I can say, it was a dark and stormy night. And you can start writing out I can write out my opening scene basically. And then I can go down here to setup. I have an explanation. It's a multi-scene. It's 2 to 10% of the novel. This is where we establish the hero, the world, the problems, and all this stuff. I can actually go here, add a new text. I can call this setup. And then I can say, John walked across the room and opened the refrigerator to get a cold beer. So then I can start writing the setup, and I mean, I've got the explanations for each one of these steps. So when I start the novel, I can actually go through and I can completely outline it using the Save the Cat method in here. And what's neat about that is that I've got this here. So when I actually start writing the story, right, so I've got my opening image, which was it's a dark and stormy night. So I can go up here to chapter 1 and scene, and I can say, okay, well, let's look at the opening image. Where is it? There we go. And I could just copy all the stuff in here. Like, so let's say we've got this much. This is my opening scene. I can just grab that and copy it, go up here to my scene, and then I've got it all there. So, and then any other type of writing, guides or anything that you would want to have in this project, you can create it and put it in here, and then you have this really cool template that you can use every time you start a new project. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you how I set this up. So if you want to set up a template, basically what you want to do is you'll come into Scrivener, you'll go to fiction. You won't have this template, so you can start with whatever kind of project, so maybe you want a nonfiction template and you want to do just general nonfiction. It doesn't matter. You just pick the template, the built-in template for whatever project you're working on. So let's say we're going to do a short story, okay? I'm going to choose that. This title doesn't really matter right now because we're just going to save this off as a template itself. So I'm just going to put template 2 in there, and then I'm going to hit create. So now it's going to open it up, and you'll see that this now has all the stuff that this default template starts with. It's got all the characters, places, and so now what you can do is, let's say, since it's a short story, let's say you have a list of websites that you want to they're kind of part of your research, but you want it to be a separate folder where you can just list out a bunch of websites. So what you can do is add a new folder. You can call this websites. You can actually go in here and you can change the icon. Let's see, so for a website, I probably want to, let's see what we've got here. You can actually import your own custom icons as well. I haven't tried doing that yet, but it's definitely something you can do. There's a manage custom icons. So let's just use, let's use the, I guess the I for now. So now I've got an I and then it says websites, okay? And then you could go in here and you can say, you can add a document where you could just list out, like this document could be called, let's say our short story is like a vampire story. So you could put vampire websites. Then over here you could just go this. Maybe you go to, it's really hard to talk and type at the same time. You go to vampires.com. You've got, it keeps capitalizing that H and that bugs me. Oh my gosh. So maybe you've got sparkly vampires.com. So you can keep a list of your websites in here that you want to go to. And then you can actually click on this. You can go to add web page. And then you can put in here, it's copied all that in there. You can say https vampires.com, and then you can say vampires and then click OK. So now you can see that it actually gave it this other icon, and this is actually a website. So if you click that, you can actually go here to the website. And so, I mean, it's kind of neat because you can actually have the website inside of here. So you don't have to leave this application, you can just have it, it's right there. And then maybe you want to have a page where you have a list of all the websites, and then you can have actual web pages of those. So let's say we want to leave this right here, okay? And so let's say that we do a lot of vampire short stories, right? So every time we want to do a vampire short story, we want to use this template. So now what you can do is, let's change this to vampire characters. Maybe you add a folder called vampire lore, and we'll change the icon to a book. Let's do a red book. So, and then this vampire lore, you're going to add a text, and this is basically, you could put in, you can have evil vampires, and then you could have good vampires. And then what you could do is you could outline, so the evil vampires kill humans and other vampires. And then good vampires don't kill humans, only kill other vampires. So, let's say this is our lore is something that we want to keep consistent through all of our books. For example, if you were doing Star Trek fan fiction, right? You can't just write a Star Trek fan fiction book and totally change everything about, the Star Trek universe. You have to kind of stick to what is already there, or it's not a fan fiction book. It's just something completely different. So let's say you want your lore to be completely similar across all of your books. So now what we've done is we've got all this all set up. This is exactly how we want it. You want to make sure that a lot of the information you put in here is generalized. So what I'm going to do is, so the vampire websites thing is fine. Template sheets is fine. You want to make sure though that there's no like, you know, specific information in here, because then when you start the new book, so like let's say I have a vampire story and there's a vampire called Kevin. I don't want to leave this in here when I do the template, because let's say I have a list of a bunch of characters, and unless those characters are in every single book, you don't want to leave it in here. So maybe Kevin is like your main hero, so he's in every single book that every single vampire story that you've ever written. So Kevin could stay there, but I mean, you wouldn't want to have a bunch of characters in here because they may not all appear in that book. So you want to keep it really, really general. So like, let's just leave Kevin in for now, and let's say like Kevin is the main hero. Okay. So now you've realized that you've got this set up exactly the way you want it. So what you're going to do is you're going to template this. You can go up here to File, and then there's Save, and then there's Save As, but you want to go down here to Save as Template. And it says, this project seems to contain personal information. I get that message, and I think it's the front matter. Oh, yeah, it's the front matter has... I'm going to delete that. Where is it? I don't see a trash. Oh, there it is. So that front matter had some personal information. It had my address. It had my name and stuff like that. You don't want to leave that in, because potentially, you could have this template, you could share it with somebody else, right? So now we'll go up here again to File, Save as Template. Still getting that warning, so maybe it's let's see. It could just be the name Kevin here, I think, because pretty much everything else was empty. The research. Okay, so so I think it's good now. Let me empty the trash. Maybe that's why, because it's still in the trash. And we'll try it again for the third time. Okay, so it didn't get it that time. So now instead of a short story, you want to just call it oops, let me just go back. This is a vampire short story. It's fiction. This category corresponds to those categories you saw at the beginning, and I picked fiction. I want to keep that as fiction, and then the icon, you want it to have, this is the icon here. You can change it to anything else. Looks like that's not anything, but there's a lecture. So this is a short story, and we want the little pen icon so we can make sure that we can tell that it's a short story right off the, just by looking at the file. I always click this Save Styles into Template. I think that just basically saves like, the font size and the font face, all that stuff. And then when you click OK, it's going to save that off. So now when you close this, if I go to fiction, you can see now that there's a short story, and now there's a vampire short story. So if I'm going to start a regular short story, I can just pick this. Maybe I'm doing a short story about teenagers, right? I can click this, and I can go to choose, and I can just start with the basic template. But if I'm going to do a vampire short story, I can click this, click choose. I can call it Vampires Are Us is the name of the book, right? Or the short story, sorry. And I click create. And what that's going to do is it's going to open this up. It's going to be called Vampires Are Us. And it's got all the stuff in here. So it's got, the websites. It's got, the vampire lore. It's got Kevin, our main hero. So basically you could write this Vampires Are Us story, and when you're done with that, then you could go in here to fiction, do another vampire short story, and so on and so forth. And this is really neat because it just lets you basically create a bunch of templates that you can then, like I said, I could share these with other people. So I thought about making this one available. I'm not sure I want to do that, but and then one last thing I wanted to show you is that these templates are all saved off. If I go to my, let's see, I'm going to open up Finder here. And then I'm going to go to my Dropbox. So you can see here in this in my Dropbox folder, I've got Scrivener backup, Scrivener projects, and I've got Scrivener templates. And in this Scrivener templates, I've got my Owen Dare novel template, and it's got the file extension of Scriv template. So that's what I was saying, is this is backed up in Dropbox. If I ever need to use that template on another computer, all I have to do is just log into my Dropbox account and basically pull that down. And I guess that's it. We'll probably end the video here. It's gone a little longer, even though I was, I showed a lot of stuff. I was trying to get through this as fast as possible. But let me know if you have any questions, or if you, if there's something not clear about the setup and what I did to set this up. I think it's pretty straightforward, but if you've never used Scrivener before, you might run into some problems. I've actually only been using Scrivener for, I think, well, maybe like a month or 2 months, so not terribly long time. But I also, as a software developer, I'm just, I'm used to using software. So let me know if something isn't clear and I can go over it, or I can, help you out, see if you can set up your own templates. But anyways, thanks for watching the video, and we'll have more coming. I'm going to be doing an entire series that's just like my NaNoWriMo prep that I've done. This was just the first video in that series. So thanks for watching, and have a great day.